Welcome to the Project Core Professional Development modules. This module, Teaching Communication During Daily Routines and Activities, is designed to explain the importance of using the universal core vocabulary throughout the school day and describes the use of predictable daily routines as a way to get started. Project Core is being conducted by the Center for Literacy and Disability Studies, a unit in the Department of Allied Health Sciences at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. As discussed in previous modules, our goal is to maximize opportunities to teach the use of the universal core vocabulary so that students have the best chance of learning. This requires taking advantage of every communication opportunity across the school day. We usually think about instruction happening during the activities that appear on our schedule, but opportunities to teach communication are present in every minute of the school day, not just during organized instructional activities. From the moment the buses arrive in the morning until they depart at the end of the day, there are opportunities to demonstrate the use of the universal core vocabulary, attribute meaning to student communication efforts, and encourage students to use the universal core vocabulary to support their communication efforts. One way to start teaching and encouraging the use of the universal core vocabulary throughout the day is to take advantage of the routines that happen day in and day out. Many of these routines occur as students transition from one activity to another, and they include things like breakfast, snack, or lunch. Using these routines to teach students to use the core vocabulary to communicate requires showing them what they could say. It requires going beyond the universal core to direct student behavior with aided language input with messages like, open it, put it here, or get that. It requires thinking about the messages students could use to communicate. This might include showing them that they could communicate, help open, when struggling to open something. Or showing them that they can ask a question like, where put? Or communicate a clear refusal with not. Deciding what words to demonstrate starts by watching students closely and attributing meaning to the things they do. When you notice behaviors or facial expressions or hear them make a noise, tell students what they did to communicate. And show them how they might use the universal core to communicate their message using aided language input. After you show your students how they might use the universal core vocabulary, encourage them to try, but do not require them. Your goal is to use daily routines to show students what is possible. Pause for Activity 1. Now that you've identified routines and thought about the things you do and say during them, think about how you might encourage students to use the universal core to communicate their own thoughts and ideas during these routines. For example, think about unpacking a backpack with your students. How could you encourage your students to communicate? You might ask, "Can I open it?" and wait and watch for a response. If the student looks at the bag, you could reply, "I see you looking. Do you want to look?" Then the adult might say, "I can open it. You can look inside." Other routines are more naturally interactive. They make it easier to find ways to encourage students to communicate using the Universal Core Vocabulary. For example, meal times like breakfast, snack, and lunch provide natural opportunities to help students learn how to use want, help, and more to communicate. Mealtimes also provide opportunities to encourage students to communicate that they do not like something when you see them turn their head, or that they want something you can see they are enjoying. That is exactly how this teen you've seen before learned to use want to indicate she wanted more brownie. The adults in class demonstrated the use of the word want across a variety of activities for multiple days. During snack one afternoon, this student kept reaching for more of the brownies they made. The teacher told her, "I see you reaching. You want more." And the teacher presented the 4 inline core board. You can see that on this day it worked. The teen's chocolate fingerprints are all over, but there are many more on want than anywhere else. There are posters designed to help you teach students to use the Universal Core Vocabulary during everyday routines. The posters are on the Project Core website. Consider hanging them on the wall in your classroom or use them to design your own posters. Throughout routines and across the day, adults should provide aided language input to show students how symbols can be used to communicate. But adults should also look for any opportunity to attribute meaning and encourage the student to communicate. For example, encourage students to share information about what they want, when they are finished, or when they want more. Encourage students to ask questions by helping them see that they can ask, "What are we doing next?" and when a current activity will be finished. Show students how they can request more, ask for help, or get something different. You can't expect students to do these things the first time you show them, and your goal is not to teach the symbols or messages one at a time. Instead, use the naturally occurring routines in the school day to show students what is possible and encourage them to try. In the end, remember that the entire school day provides important opportunities to honor all forms of communication and attribute meaning to all of the ways that students communicate. The entire school day is full of opportunities for you to demonstrate how to use symbols through aided language input. And the entire school day is full of opportunities for you to encourage students to learn to use the Universal Core to communicate for multiple purposes across multiple contexts and multiple partners. This concludes the module. Your feedback is important to us. Please take a couple of minutes to complete a brief survey about this module by going to project-core.com/PD survey. Thank you for your participation. To learn more about Project Core and to access free resources and materials, visit the website at project-core.com.